Hola. Good evening. God, I'm looking a little bit orange in this light. Jeez, I have been sunbathing. It's not fake tan, I swear. The sun here in Spain has been absolutely glorious. It's like the 1st of May and summer just arrives unapologetically. Clear blue skies, raging hot sunshine and mosquitoes. Those of you that have been following me for years will know this is a regular occurrence in my world. Look at the state of those pegs. They are absolutely covered. I've tried all sorts. So many of you have given me like hints and tips on how to stop getting bit, and just nothing works. They just savage me every year. And we've got these tiger mosquitoes now that are quite new to Spain, and they bite multiple times. They just savage you really quickly, and oh my God, it's the one thing about summer that makes me a bit... Do you know what? Before I get started, let me just say this. Lockdown here, day 51 we're on today. And we had, say hey as you're getting logged in, guys, by the way. So I know who's listening. Hey, Kerry. Hey, Caroline, Nixie, Shares, Becky, how you doing? Hey, Jackie. Lockdown day 51. So today we had news. Go to the salons, we could go to the hairdressers. So they're open by appointment only. And some other like small businesses that are by appointment only, like massage, acupuncture, that sort of thing. So honestly, like if someone had just said to me 51 days ago that it would have taken 50 days to start with to get to this point, I'd have thought, oh my God, I'll never cope with that. But you know, I felt a pang of like, when de-escalation and lockdown started to be relaxed, because I really don't want things to go back to normal. Not normal as we know them. Hey Kayla, give me some hearts if you feel a little bit the same. Like, I can honestly say that to me, being able to, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm dying to get my roots done and cover this grey that's suddenly appeared. I think it's blonde, I think it's the sun. But yeah, I can see some hearts. Who agrees with me that going back to normal would be a tragedy? I felt a bit sad. I felt a bit like, oh, you know, I'm going to have to, not going to have to, but I run the risk of going backwards in terms of feeling guilty if we don't go out at the weekend and do something, feeling like we've wasted the weekend if we just have it at home. Maybe cooking less, maybe meditating less because I'll get busy again, or saying yes too much because people keep asking me to do things. And I'm very blessed. I love my friends, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I'm like, I really don't want to, but I don't want to say no. Like, I don't want all those things to go back to normal. Only shopping from local businesses. Keep the hearts coming if you can relate to any of this, or even comment below and tell me what you're refusing to go back to when it comes to lockdown. Because like, I am refusing to go back to big supermarkets and just doing my shop for convenience. I'm going to visit the butchers, the greengrocers, the local farms for my eggs and all these things. I've loved doing that. I'm going to cook meals from scratch with natural, fresh ingredients. I'm going to make time for that. I'm going to say no when people ask me to do things that I don't want to do, and I'm going to just take the weekend sometimes to do absolutely nothing other than cook, meditate and read, and not feel like I'm missing life by doing it, because that is life. They are the things that I enjoy doing. So that's how de-escalation feels for me. I'm not dancing around in the street celebrating. I'm a bit like, yeah, quietly excited that people are getting better. That's a big plus, and that infection rates dipping, and that people that are less fortunate than I am, that have been infected in more severe ways, are able to start healing and repairing their lives. Of course, I'm grateful for all of those things, but there are also things that I know don't ever need to go back to normal. What are those things for you? I'm really curious to read. Farmers market, definitely cooking from scratch. You know, the amount of people that have said to me they're spending so much more time cooking and thinking about their food and what's going into their bodies. You know, I put a chicken in the oven the other day. Might sound a bit bonkers to you guys, but I put this chicken in the oven. I used to be vegan, so you know, I've got certain morals when it comes to where my food comes from. I do eat meat again now, but only from certain places, and I got this beautiful chicken from the local farm, and as I picked it up, I felt its legs, and I had one of those moments where I was like, ooh, because it felt like a proper leg. It felt like my puppy's leg, back leg, and I was like, oh God. There's still a part of me that's not completely comfortable with eating meat, regardless of where it comes from. I put this chicken down, and I looked at it, and because I had time, and I wasn't going to go somewhere or be somewhere, I just thought, for the first time in a long time, I gave thanks. I actually took the time to stand there and give thanks. I grew up always being encouraged to say grace before a meal. But somewhere it got lost, and I stopped saying thank you for the food that I was eating. I stopped being and I just filled myself up with so much gratitude for this chicken that I was about to eat. I thought, do you know, when we take time and when we have less to do and we slow down, we get back to some of our like core values and core ways of being that maybe have got lost when we get so busy. So that's been huge. I'm not going to bang on for much longer because it's not why you're here, is it? You haven't come here to listen to me bang on about lockdown and what's different. But I am interested by it, and I'm interested by how you guys feel about it. So please share. I think it's important to share how we want the world to be different. Hey Rebecca, when things go back to normal. Okay, so tonight is for you if you keep changing your bloody mind. If you find yourself chopping and changing your ideal client, your offer, your messaging, the way you want to run your business. If what seems like an amazing idea one day, the next day you start questioning everything and wanting to rework it. Therefore you seesaw a little bit and go backwards and forwards. The big question tonight is, how can you tell the difference between what is just not meant for you? What is a soul no? What is out of alignment with your true path and the thing that you are born to do? And what's just fear? How do you know the difference between the two? Does something feel bad and like too difficult because fear or ego or emotions getting in the way? Or is it because it's not the path that we're meant to be on? That's the big question, isn't it? Give me a hell yes in the comments if you've asked yourself this question. I want to know that we're on the same page tonight. I want to know that I'm speaking to a part of you that has been challenged by this. Otherwise, what's the point? I like to think that when I create things for you every week, it comes from here, therefore it has to be what you want because I connect to myself and you guys energetically to understand that. But I'd like to have it confirmed. I want to know that I'm speaking to a problem that you've had or continue to have. So give me a hell yes if these things have gone through your mind and you found yourself asking that question, seesawing, chopping and changing. Okay, amazing, amazing. Thank you for giving me that confirmation. Okay, so here's what I see a lot of, and you might see yourself in this. I work with women all the time that start with a seed of an idea that at some point gets them excited. It gets them going a little bit. It feels like a flash of inspiration that's almost divine. They're like, yes, this is what's meant for me. Oh my God, yes. Some of the women I work with have had that moment before we begin working together. And then at some point got lost in the struggle of making it happen. Or some of them have that moment whilst we're working together. Some people come to me and they're just totally confused. And then we get it, we have that, and they're like, oh, yeah, could I? Oh my God, I could. And it's that kind of feeling of, imagine if that was my work. Imagine if I could just do that every day and be paid for it. That would be amazing. That feels like the dream. Oh my God, you're right. I can see now that all the things that I've been through have led me to this moment, and this is exactly what I'm meant to be doing. They have that moment. And it's almost like spine tingling, goose pimple moment, you know, it's so exciting. That's a soul creation. That's how we know it's a soul creation. Remember this, write it down if you have to. The soul creates. The mind reacts. That's the big distinction. The soul creates, the mind reacts. The soul never reacts. The soul doesn't react to anything. It either is or it isn't. It's either meant for us or it isn't. And here's the thing. Whatever is meant for you is what you choose to be meant for you. If you choose a life of abundance, and that's your declaration, and that's the question, how do I have a life of abundance? The soul responds with the path to that place. The mind reacts based on the things that it knows. See, that's the big difference. The mind is like a computer, like almost like a library, a catalogue, a digital catalogue of information. And it just stores everything, all your experiences, even the things you're not aware that it's storing, so that you can make decisions in the future based on that information. It's super clever piece of kit, incredible. But it's not so great if you want to go in a direction you've never been in before and have something you've never had before, maybe have something nobody you know has ever had before, different to your family, more extraordinary than anything your friends have ever achieved. If you want to be or stop being mediocre in the way you live your life and the business that you build, the brain, the mind, has no information stored on that for you. So when you create something at soul level, at some point the mind reacts to it and it starts going, but you? Really? It's like going, error, error. It's almost like that. I don't know if you've ever seen, those of you that are from England might have seen the programme Little Britain. And there's this sketch in this comedy show where this woman just sits there and she's awful, and every now and then she goes, the computer says no. Whenever they ask her a question, she goes, the computer says no. And it's like that. It's like your brain's just going, no, computer says no. Because it has no evidence in its library to back up that that's possible for you, because you're going after something that you've never had before. So the difference between the mind and soul is that the soul creates what is possible for you in the highest expression, the thing that the brain can't even comprehend. And all the brain does is just throw up used material to make it easier or not easy, depending what it is, for you to make decisions. What happens when we use our mind to do our soul work? Well, the mind keeps changing its mind. That's the first thing. A mind changes a lot. We can't do soul work from a space in our mind. You can't. You just can't. They are complete opposites. The mind is built up of evidence and ego and the human stuff that makes it possible for us to have this human and earthly experience as a soul. And the soul is just purer than that. It has none of that stuff, that fear, that guilt, the shame, the disappointment, the anger, all the stuff that the human experience gives us doesn't exist at soul level, because the only thing that exists at soul level is the high vibrational feelings, the love, the certainty, the joy, the excitement, the complete absence of fear and the negative stuff. So what happens when we try and... Who knows what I'm talking about? Press some hearts if you know what I'm talking about. Who's felt that the soul... You might call it intuition, you may call it higher self. If I'm not using words that resonate, that's okay. We all have our different ways of expressing this and feeling this, but it's that part of ourselves, you know? The part of ourselves that when we meet someone that we know we're just meant to have in our lives, it lights up, yeah? And you feel like you've known them forever and you never want to be apart from them, and it's just been an hour. It's those people where you're going, yes, 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 and you're finishing each of the sentences, and your soul's going, yes, 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 this person's meant for you. It's in what I would imagine the love, the mother's love for a child feels like. It's just certain and pure and the surest thing you've probably ever felt, and it's unconditional. It's in those moments where we just know what to do, or when you think of someone and then you see them or the phone rings and it feels like everything's working out for you. It feels like the universe is just moving to make everything happen for you. It's in those moments. Those moments never feel bad, right? They can't. It doesn't exist on that level. The thing is, we can't hear the soul speak to us when we're lost in our heads. Because the only thing that exists from a place of mind and ego is more of the low vibrational energies. The ego makes us compare, the ego makes us judge, the ego makes us fearful. It makes all of those things. None of them exist at soul level. So when we start to use this, when we should be using this, I describe it as being here, because this is where I get most of my intuition and feelings. It might be somewhere else for you. It's a little bit like a pilot trying to get the plane off the ground. You're either going to go pedal to the metal and get it up, because it's the only way, and it's the same with building a business. You've got to go with certainty in the direction of your goals. Full throttle, let's go. When we use the mind, it's like sitting in the cockpit doing all the safety checks over and over again, and then sitting there worrying about what might happen if we don't get it off the ground, and then thinking, I'm not qualified to do this. Why the fucking hell did they let me loose with this plane? Who am I to think I can fly this thing? Oh God, no, I can't do it. Okay, I'll pull back a little bit. No, fuck that. What if I crash? Slamming the brakes on, banging down the fucking runway. It feels bumpy, and you probably never get it off the ground. Well, I know for certain you're never going to get it off the ground like that. This is what happens. The soul speaks to us, we create, we have an amazing idea, we know we can do it, we know it's meant for us. And then the mind reacts. But what if this happens? But what if you're not qualified yet? Who do you think you are? Really? You're going to do a Facebook Live? What are you going to say? You're going to sound stupid. What about your accent? Because it's just drawing on information that you've stored there at some point, knowingly or unknowingly. You do know the difference. The big difference is the soul always feels good. I'm going to give you 3 steps now. 3 steps. Don't worry, I can count. I'm going to give you 3 steps now to help you to identify between the two. Whether this is mind babble or the voice of your soul. Step 1. The first question you want to ask yourself when faced with a thought that sees you changing direction. Before you're done. That's the big thing. Changing direction before you're done. Or doing something that you didn't plan to do. For example, the thought might be, you're not qualified enough for that. Who do you think you are? You can't help those people. You don't have the degree. Who's thought that? Give me a show of hands, like, give me this emoji. That's you putting your hand up. Give me a show of hands if you at some point have experienced that voice of imposter syndrome. Show of hands if you feel comfortable sharing. But it is really nice for other people to know they're not alone and that this is a normal part of success. Show of hands if you have been that person that's thought, you can't do that. Who do you think you are to do that? You don't know enough. You haven't achieved enough. You're not qualified enough. Haven't got enough letters after your name. You didn't do well enough at school. You're not pretty enough. You're not thin enough. Whatever that voice might say. Who's experienced that? The question you ask yourself, thank you for sharing. And guys, if you're in that moment where you are plagued by these thoughts, just look at all the wonderful, incredible women that are showing their hands to this and saying, me too. It's just not true. So the first question when you encounter a thought like that is, how does it feel? How did that thought make me feel? Because if it didn't make you feel any of the things, any of the feelings we know exist on soul level, that's not soul guidance. That's your mind reacting, not your soul creating. It's your mind interjecting. So if we know that's true, what would be the opposite of that? What would the soul say? If that's the mind babble, what would the soul say? So it would probably say something like, you are totally ready to take the first step. You're totally ready to take the next step. Why not you? You don't know everything, but you know enough. And you'll know more and more and more the more you grow, but you've got to start to be great. You haven't got to be great to start. Start today. That's what the soul would say lovingly with encouragement. So that's the first step, is asking yourself, how does this feel? Because if you find yourself changing your mind, breaking commitments based on something that makes you feel bad, a thought that makes you feel bad, that's not divine guidance. That's not how it works. That's not how my God speaks to me or makes me want to feel. If God doesn't resonate, or it's angels or the universe, or just, use your own word. This is not about religion. It doesn't matter to me what your faith is or what you believe in, as long as we understand each other. Give me some hearts if we're understanding each other so far and you're all following and on the same page. Okay. Step 2. Remember that just because something doesn't feel good, it doesn't mean that it's not meant for you. It doesn't mean that you're not on the right path. It just means that your mind is making it harder than it needs to be. So we've got to allow the soul to step in. We've got to move the mind to the side and allow the soul to step in. How do we do that? This is point 3. We've got to be still enough, regularly enough, to be able to hear it speaking to us. Because the mind is so fucking chatty. It's like that friend. We've all got that friend, right? We love them, but they don't shut up. You can't get a word in edgeways. They never ask you about you or how you are and what you want or how your week's been. They just ring you and chew your ear off. It's that friend. It's so bloody noisy and it never shuts up, right? So we've just gotta just slow it down, tune it out to be able to really listen to the other part of us that's not governed by this library of experience that's not relevant here. How do we slow down our mind? I'm not going to ask you to start being a master of meditation like the Dalai Lama. I'm no Dalai Lama, let me tell you. But I do have a high vibrational plan, and you can have one of those too. Anybody can. A high vibrational plan is what gets me into a high vibrational state, because listen, you can only hear the soul's language, communication, if you're on the same vibration as it. It's not found in the vibration of fear and anger and all that stuff. It's just not found there. So we've got to get our vibe as high as possible so that you can hear it. That's when you've had your flashes of inspiration, right? Not when you've been feeling shit. No one ever sat like this going, oh, everything's fucking shit. Oh my God, I've just had the $1 million idea. No, that never happens. It just doesn't happen. We have those moments when we are doing things that make us feel joy. So you need to work out what those things are for you. There's no right or wrong answer for this, but you can't work them out when you feel shit. This is what people do. They try and react. So you can't wait for yourself to be low vibe and then go, oh, this is when I really need that high vibrational plan. Because guess what? You have zero inspiration or probably motivation to put it together in that moment. You just feel lost and drowning in it. Do I change direction? Do I start from scratch? Do I rewrite my website? Everything feels wrong suddenly. I feel like a fraud, a joke. How's this happened? Last week I was positive this business was going to be amazing. That's when we need that plan. And if you don't have it ready to go, it's going to be really difficult for you to get the wheels in motion for getting out of that state. Some of the things that are on mine, journaling. That's like my direct channel to my soul. If I quieten my mind a little bit, and I don't mean by meditating, I mean by lighting a candle, playing soft music, relaxing, no distractions, I just start writing my questions. Why am I experiencing fear on this? Why is this happening? Da, 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 da. And then just let the pen work. Just let it move. That works for me. Try it. Might work for you, might not. Sometimes it feels like I'm just a channel and something's writing through me and I read it back and I'm like, shit, there's a lot of wisdom in that. Now I know exactly what to do. Sometimes it takes a walk in nature. Sometimes it takes cooking and just losing myself in cooking. Sometimes it is meditation. I found an amazing app. If any of you are really wanting to get into meditation and you found it a bit of a struggle previously, it's called Synctuition. Synctuition. So it's like a play on the word intuition, syncing with your intuition, Synctuition. Download the app, it's free. It gives you it's like a journey, and it takes you on a journey of like mastering, tapping into your intuition. Some people call it soul intuition. It's amazing. Download it, honestly. And I'm not getting paid every time you download. It's got nothing to do with me. I don't know the creator of it. I'm not an affiliate. I just want you to have it because it's good. Check that out. But you might not want to meditate. You don't have to meditate. It's just whatever you need to do to make yourself feel good. Just write a little list tonight of, straight after the video, strike while the iron's hot, what is my high vibrational plan? It doesn't have to be detailed, just 3 to 5 things maybe on there that are going to help you switch your state back. And remember that our state doesn't switch back automatically. If you're feeling absolutely shit and you go in, download Intuition and do a meditation, it's not going to fix you. Sometimes you've got to be a little bit more consistent than that. But eventually the tide turns and we begin to feel good. Whatever's going on in our life will depend on how hard we need to work on that. But we have to work on that harder than we work on anything else, because otherwise how do you hear the part of you that knows exactly what to do all of the time? I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to go back and read all of your comments though, because I've not been interacting with you all because I don't want to get lost in the comments and forget what I'm going to say. Very quick recap before we go, just 3 things from tonight so you can know the difference between what's my soul telling me and what's just this. Number 1, how does it feel? And what would be the opposite to that if it doesn't feel good? What would be the opposite advice that you'd be given? Number 2, remember, just because something feels hard doesn't mean it's not meant for you. It just means probably that the mind has stepped in and made it more difficult than it needs to be. And number 3, what's your high vibrational plan to get you feeling the best you can be feeling so that you can always have that instant link to that part of you, whether it's soul, whether it's intuition or higher self. Good night, guys.